bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Well. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. I like saying that. Today's Wednesday, June 8th. 160 days into the new year, 206 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States, hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planets. I'm your so humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? It's Wednesday. Tonight's very special guest for the first time on Fade to Black, Holly Cook, is here. I am so looking forward to this conversation tonight with Holly. Tomorrow night, we have Fader Night, open lines, and John Rappaport is going to be here with his No More Fake newsroom. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio, Facebook, YouTube. Everything's Fade to Black, JChurch Radio, Jimmy Church Radio, whatever. Go follow, like, and subscribe. This is an interactive show, folks. Tuning in for the first time, you've heard about the show, and now you're here. This is interactive. We run live all night long with Twitter and the chat rooms and everything else, and we are hanging out in real time. If you want to join us, get yourself some TweetDeck. That's the easiest way to do it. Hashtag F2B. Get it set up. Get a column going that says hashtag F2B in TweetDeck. It'll tell you how to do it. You can figure it out. And if you can't, just come on over. Hashtag F2B and tweet to me at JChurchRadio. Follow me and say, hey, one of you Fadernauts, tell me how to get this set up. It's simple, but if you need some help, we'll do some hand holding. And then you can hang out with us in the sandbox. All right? It's really cool. It's interactive. And then get another column going. That's hashtag F2BQ. That's Fade to Black Questions. Twitter is always live to my left throughout the show. And any questions, any comments, anything, make it happen right there. It's totally interactive. Okay? Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. You can do that too. You just got to make the email good. And if it's good, it'll come in here to me, and then I will see it. All right? Really, it's that simple. All right, let's go. I am pretty excited. Tonight we have Holly Cook with us. Just spent the weekend with Holly and her better half, Mark. And I'm sure he's listening right now going, hey, man, dude looks just like Tico Torres, the drummer. Yeah, I said it. He looks like Tico Torres. Somebody has to tweet out a picture of Holly and Mark, and so everybody can understand the Tico Torres. And he plays drums, too. That's what's even stranger. All right, so tonight it's Holly Cook. Tomorrow night, Fader Night, open lines. Let's see what's going on for the rest of the week. Friday is off. Saturday, I'm over at Coast to Coast, and my guests are, this is what I'm going to do on Coast. I am going to do a full report about what happened at Contact in the Desert, and then I am with the UFOs and the sightings, and we're going to bring on Melinda Leslie, who not only put on the event that night for the night vision, but she was right there with a host of other witnesses, but she was right there helping me out and guiding me through things because I was in shock. So that'll be the first hour on Coast to Coast. And then for the rest of the show, David Sereda is going to be my guest. And he's got some really, really, really cool recent developments in his research. So we're going to be discussing that and then taking your calls over Coast. So that's Saturday night. And then, so that completes the week. We have gone nonstop, not since last, Monday of last week, all the way through Contact in the Desert, straight through to tonight and tomorrow night. So Friday will be the first night off in like 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks. And there you go. So that's the week here on Fade to Black. All right. And I know you want to support the show. That's what we do. We do have sponsors. Life Change Tea. There you go. Right there. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Go to the website. If I was you, I would go to the specials page. That's what I would do. And pick something out. And use the promo code Jimmy. You can either do it when you call in over the phone or when you order online. Use the promo code Jimmy. Get yourself some free shipping. There you go. And then, of course, Studio Dome. And we were, I mentioned this the other day, but out at Contact in the Desert, all the Fadernauts, man, brought their Studio Dome systems with them. So we had Studio Dome rocking over at the Fader House, man. It was pretty cool. Full-blown stereo listening to Beyond the Strange. All right. And all you have to do, just go click on the banner over at Jimmy Church Radio. Use the promo code JCRTWS. That's Jimmy Church Radio, True Wireless Stereo. And get yourself a True Wireless Stereo Bluetooth system. Comes in a hard shell case, free shipping. $129. That's 60% off of the normal price of $399. There you go. Support the show. All of our sponsors, all of our commercials, go and visit their websites. That's how we do this every single night of the week. Coming up, the Roswell Festival is June 30th through July 3rd in Roswell, New Mexico. And we'll see everybody there. If you go to jimmychurchradio.com, go to the appearances section to the right, you will see the Roswell Festival there. And there's a picture of Tico Torres. That's going to get a retweet. Who did this? Oh, that's with Corey Good. Oh, Gabriel did one too. There he is, Holly Cook and Tico Torres. And there's another one with Corey Good. Oh, that was at the party. Yeah. There you go, Tico Torres. All right, and let's see, Awareness Life Expo. That's coming up August 13th and 14th up at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Sacramento, California. Again, all the links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. With that, let's get this show cracking. Yeah, today. Do you guys remember Bonnie Tyler? Today, she is 65. Remember that song, Total Eclipse of the Heart? I do. Oh, Mark Tarana's, he's still in the corner. That's a good tweet. I'll back that one up. Nick Rhodes of Duran Duran, the keyboard player, 54. Big part of the Duran Duran sound and that sensation they caused back in the 80s. 54 years old. The inventor of the World Wide Web. Yeah, there was an inventor of the World Wide Web. Tim Berners-Lee today is 61. Did it back in 1989. Created the dub. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Nancy Sinatra today is 76. Not only is she ultra cool, but that song, These Boots Are Made for Walking, You will always make the birthday list. Happy birthday, Nancy. All right. On this day in history, in 1968, James Earl Ray, an escaped American convict, is arrested in London, England, and charged with the assassination, of course, of Martin Luther King Jr. And what's interesting about that, that's a nice picture of Bonnie Tyler that will get a retweet. There you go. How can you not like Tom Jones? That was yesterday, Gabe, but close enough. All right. And look at this picture of Rita. That's going to get a retweet. All right, Nancy. There you go. Studio Dome. That'll get a retweet. Oh, is that Studio Dome at the Fada House? All right. Where I'm at. Oh, James Earl Ray. So he goes after, at the Lorraine Hotel in Memphis. Now, I'm going off of memory right here. So if I make a mistake, don't, you can hold back on the email. But he gets rid of the rifle. His fingerprints are all over it. Somehow, he gets a fake Canadian passport, splits the country, goes to London. And then, and FBI was hot on his trail at that point. I don't know how they figured out the fingerprints and all of that, but they did, back then without computers and stuff, but they did. And they bust him in London trying to fly to Belgium. And that's how he was caught. Then he comes back here and he confesses, he pleads guilty, gets, 99 years in prison, avoids the death penalty, and then comes out and says it was a conspiracy. He was just the fall guy. There you go. James Earl Ray arrested in London on this day in 1968. Fader fact. Oh, I love doing this part of the show every single night. You ready? Bolivia has had as much coup and revolution in its history over the number 190 as years as it has been a country. Yeah. Bolivia. Oh, man, that's crazy. All right. Tonight we have a very special guest, Holly Cook. She's going to be here in a few short minutes. Tomorrow night we have Fader Night and open lines. And, of course, John Rappaport is going to be here with his No More Fake Newsroom. The call-in number tonight, we will be taking calls 323-825-5045. And now, I guess it's arrived. It's a Hillary Trump. That's what they're saying, too. It's kind of weird. Her first name, his last. It's a Hillary Trump run for the White House. And so the big Tuesday ran down yesterday. Hillary cleaned up, and now that's it. Bernie's speech last night, I thought that he was going to, congratulate her and throw in the towel, which he didn't. But this has been the most bizarre year ever as far as this kind of stuff goes with primaries. But to me, it was kind of, I expected him to do that, but then I just thought, no, that's what I expect. So it's going to be the opposite. And sure enough, he wants to try to run this out. He has got, now I'm going in a direction on this, so just stay with me. But he's going to meet with Obama tomorrow, and I'm sure that conversation is going to be a healthy one. But anyway, and he wants to run this to Philadelphia for whatever reasons. And I think those reasons are he just wants his platform to be heard all the way to Philadelphia. Fine, I get that. All right, he wants to do it. More power to him. But it is a Hillary and Trump run now. And what do you think got Hillary there? You know what? In a very weird, bizarre way, I think it was the UFOs. Let me explain. The polls that have been run the last few years about our country, who believes in ET, UFOs, life out there, that number is high. Now, if it was me guessing right now, I mean, if someone who actually believes in alien life, that we are not alone, okay, that is a different poll than have you seen a UFO, right? That's a different thing. But do you believe that we are alone in the universe? I'm going to say 99%. are going to say, no, we're not alone. 99%. That 1% that says that we're alone in the universe, okay, all right, you're always going to have, you're not going to have 100% on a poll. But I'm going to say 99%. So when you're trying to get more and more of the population, you're trying to attract votes, you're trying to attract people to you, drop that bomb. Sure, that's why it was done. That's why Obama went out there and said what he said. Makes sense to me. We are an important part. We are an important voice. We're an important part of this country. And to be honest with you, if that number is up to 99%, why not tap into that mindset? Why not go there, right? So now let's go to the next stage. Have you seen a UFO? Man, I got to say that number's high. It's high. Would it be 30%, 40%, 50%? Would it be higher than that? Could be. That's half of the United States. So why not mention the UFO card? Now let's go a little bit deeper down. Who has had contact? Who has had something really strange happen in their lives? Or maybe even the paranormal in general. Doesn't have to be UFOs, does it? It just has to be somebody that is curious and has had something happen to them, and they know that there's something going on out there. Tap into that. How about tap into the conspiracy side of things? Bringing up the UFO subject does that too as well. So was it smart? Sure it was. I'd have done it. I'd run on that platform. Of course. I feel kind of strange about that. And if you're going to tap into that, which obviously Trump didn't, Trump went in another direction, and in a weird way, in a very weird way, Trump and Bernie had the same platform. Stay with me on this. Radical change. Radical. I'm not talking about the personal attacks and the doofusness, and I'm not talking about any of that about Trump. What I'm talking about is the radical platform change. Right? That's what Bernie ran on. Listening to Bernie's speech last night, I'm not a Bernie guy, I'm not a Hillary guy, I'm not a Trump guy. Nope. Can't support any of them. But listening to Bernie's speech last night sounded like he was a winner. It's like, wow. But the problem with Bernie is everything that he wants to do, he can't do. He almost can't do any of it. But it's a good speech. It's what we all want. But you can't go in there in 4 years or 8 years and do all of that. You're not going to do it. You're not going to have the support. It ain't going to happen. That kind of radical change. You got to start somewhere, I understand. But it just ain't going to happen. And it's the same thing with Trump. All of this stuff that he's talking, this radicalism, radical change, I should say, can't happen. Ain't going to happen. And so that leaves us with the worst of all of this. That leaves Hillary. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. As god-awful as all three of these are, now it's been whittled down, and now we have Trump and Hillary. Oh, man. Embarrassing, right? This is our country, whatever. But it looks like Hillary's going to win with the UFO vote. And that's how my brain works. That's kind of how I'm seeing the scales tip. Bizarre. It's like I can only imagine, them sitting around because, they're doing campaign strategies every single day. That's all they do is meet. And somebody there had the courage to go, hey, the UFO vote. There we go. And everybody sitting at that table went, you might be onto something here. Give me some numbers. Well, here are the stats. Push those across the table, do the handouts. Really, these are the numbers. Those are the numbers. Well, we need to hit this, Hillary. And Hillary already had. So she had the the not only the information, not only that part of it, but the knowledge is what I'm talking about. She already had that. But now because of that, she wasn't coming out of left field, because all of us have been talking about her for forever, and Podesta and so forth. So there you go. Could it be? I don't know. Feels kind of strange to me. So there you go. That's a Dave Cruz. Yeah, exactly. John Murphy. I can't believe this bleep, man. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's like Ron Paul all over again. That's from Michael Anderson. None of them have any spare change, radical or not. Yeah, exactly. And I just don't know how we got here. I didn't think, and going back, if you remember, I don't know, 6 months ago, when I did my used car salesman rant that night, I felt this coming, because for all of everybody that was running on both sides, it was scary, because there was just nobody there. Nobody. How many Republicans were running? 17, 18, 19, 20 at one point? And here we are with Hillary of all, and Donald Trump. One of those two is going to be sitting in the White House. You get what you ask for, right? You run this country in the ground. All of it. It's our fault. I don't know. All right. So there you go. It's all been determined. And there you go. Now we have some real hard decisions to make. You know what's... I've never, and talking to Jim Mars about this a lot over the weekend, was an eye-opener for me, too, as well. Because what it really comes down to is, and making these kinds of decisions, listening to Democrats saying, you know what, I can't support Hillary. I got to go Trump or not at all. And hearing Republicans say, I can't do Trump. I got to vote Hillary or nothing at all. That's how crazy this is. We've never heard this kind of talk before, ever. And somebody said to me over the weekend, they were like, Jimmy, if you think about it, it was the same thing 8 years ago with Obama. No, it wasn't. It was not. We didn't have this. No, we had the name calling. No, we don't. Well, we had the whole birther. Yeah, okay, all right. That was Trump stirring that up too as well. But no, we didn't have that. And this infighting that's going on with whatever happens, what's going to happen with the election cycle with Congress and the Senate and the House? What's going to go on there? Nobody wants to support anybody now. I've never seen this kind of division. I have no clue. It's going to be a rocky ride. It's going to be an interesting ride, too, as well. It's not going to be boring, for sure. And the other thing is, I don't know why. I guess we would have to go back to Carter, or Bush 1. These last single-term presidents, that's kind of weird. It seems like we always go in cycles of 8. Could we go in a cycle of 8 with one of these two coming up? There you go. Think about this. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be crazy. All right. I got to end that because I have to get this in. You're not going to believe this news. The FAA, Federal Aviation Authority, is telling aircraft to steer a few hundred miles clear of China Lake. Yeah. And this is the press release. A few hundred miles clear of the site of a U.S. military base in California where secretive weapon tests are being conducted, and they will cause GPS outages for much of the West Coast. An advisory issued by the FAA this past Saturday notifies pilots that GPS systems will be unreliable or non-existent within a 253 nautical mile radius from China Lake and the Mojave Desert between 9:30 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. Pacific time on 6 dates in the month of June. Now, before you have your holy crap moment right now in what I just said, listen. More than half of California is affected for all aircraft flying above 50 feet, including the very busy airspace around Los Angeles, LAX, and the San Francisco Bay Area, as well as the southern two-thirds of Nevada. Planes that fly higher will be affected at longer range, with aircraft that reach 40,000 feet above sea level experiencing disruptions as far away as Oregon. I'm not making this up. I have got 2 trips out of town scheduled in June. Right? Oh, man. Between 9:30 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, China Lake. Some kind of doomsday weapon is being tested out at China Lake. I am speechless beyond words. The same Los Angeles jury, this was announced today, that convicted Lonnie David Franklin Jr. in the murders of 9 women and a 15-year-old girl over a 22-year period has recommended a death sentence for the grim sleeper. The jury of 7 women and 5 men deliberated for nearly 8 hours today before making the decision. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office said Franklin, 63, is scheduled to return to court on August 10th before the Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge Kathleen Kennedy, who has the final say in his sentence. Now, this 22-year period of darkness over Los Angeles, it was a crazy time. There were a few courageous reporters around L.A. that stayed on top of this case. Couple of documentaries and things that were done on him over the years. But he was allowed to continue because, in my opinion, the LAPD and the detectives there just did not care about that neighborhood. And the death sentence isn't good enough. Me, I don't care about the death sentence. Life in prison would probably be much worse. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, I said it. Holly Cook is with us. Cannot wait. She'll be in the batter's box in a couple of minutes. Tomorrow night, Fader Night. Open lines all night long with John Rappaport and his No More Fake Newsroom. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'll be back in a couple short minutes with Holly Cook. Stay right there. Talk to me. Just say hello.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states.
Doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil three-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Health in America is becoming a top priority. Or maybe I should say, good health in the world is becoming a top priority. Maintaining a healthy body can be challenging. How about letting Life Change Tea help you? Our tea you make, you drink, and you benefit. Our unique blend of 8 different herbs helps you maintain good digestion, a healthy colon, and detoxes harmful toxins and parasites out of your body. And you know what? It tastes great. If you're wanting a change, a life change when it comes to health, log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. Or you can call us at 928-308-0408. That's 928-308-0408. When you log on to our mobile-friendly website, you can read all the numerous testimonies of how Life Change Tea has helped so many people. We carry many, many beneficial products that help your health and keep you on track. Getthetea.com. Kind of gets in your head, doesn't it? Getthetea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Fade to Black. Tara just tweeted, you sound like you have a sore throat. No, today I don't. I did all week. No, I got my pipes back. It's all good. Back in the chair. Holly Cook of Sacred Heart Ascension helps people get to the heart of what's weighing them down by using ancient, multi-dimensional clearing technologies to uplift people into true empowerment and emotional freedom. Many of our clients seek Holly for a deep-rooted ancestral traumas that need to be cleared through the DNA, inner child work, soul retrievals, entity extractions, and to free themselves of mental slavery. Holly is a huge advocate of alternative healing and believes that most prescribed medications are not needed, and that through reprogramming the belief system, we can gain back our health, mental well-being, and joy. Holly has worked with Cara of Peru, Michael Harner's Shamanic Institute, ancient crystal skulls like rainbows are in the ET skull, and the Dolphin Clan. She has been a CMT since 1998 and has studied crystal healing, Reiki, Theta healing, and attends many conferences to keep up her knowledge. Her websites are sacredheartsascension.com, hollymcook.com, and femininegoddessretreats.com. I'd like to welcome to the show. I'm all tongue-tied, Holly. I'm excited.
I'm good.
Okay, let's just do it like this.
Little bit of technical difficulty, but I'm good.
Okay, all right. Well, as I was just trying to kill a little time, but let's just start here. We spent the entire weekend with you, and we did earlier this month, too, or last month, up at Conscious Life, too, as well.
Absolutely.
And had a great time. And I couldn't wait. Now, this is what's really cool about this show. In hanging out with you and Mark and, of course, Rita, those conversations that we had about how you got to where you are were some of the most dynamic conversations, Holly, I've ever had. And we've had a great time together. But it was just, I've got to get that Holly that's sitting in front of me on the show. She's got something to say. We've got to get her out there because it's impressive. And I kind of want to start there where you and I started. So let's back up a little bit. Before I ask you the obvious question, which is how did you get so smart? I'm not going to go there. But where did this research and knowledge acquisition start for you for consciousness and for change? How did that happen for you?
Well, I don't even think we got into my background, but I grew up very, very ill and depressed. I was sick all the time. And of course, then because I was sick, I missed a lot of school. It led into school issues. I was severely bullied as a child. I mean, really bullied. And I didn't start out of the gates very good. So getting into high school, my early 20s, I suffered a lot from depression and nothing helped. You know, I was on the typical medication. It was not good. And I just wanted something more. So someone recommended that I go to a local shaman. I didn't even know what that was. So I went and I had this multidimensional experience. And from there, that's when I really started to get on the path. But most of what I've learned has come from hands-on experience. I've done a lot of traveling with the International Caro Foundation, and I've worked a lot with the Crystal Skulls and the elders of the Cherokee and of Peru. And that's where most of it is handed down from.
How old were you when you went to visit the shaman?
I was older. I was 32 maybe.
Right. And you said that it was, well, take me through that. I mean, because you didn't even know what a shaman was. So obviously that was just a crazy thing to go through. Actually, what happened in that first session?
So I was desperate. I needed help really bad. So I didn't care. You could have told me to go anywhere. I would have gone. So I went to this local shaman, and actually is what happened was she went through this series of taking me on this journey where I didn't really know what was going on. Is all I know is that I got a power animal and some sort of light orb and a soul retrieval. But I didn't really understand what was taking place. And I actually felt really disappointed. And so, you know, I left, and a couple months later, I'm like, well, you know, I really need to go see her again. And I went again, and it was kind of the same experience. She was good, but she wasn't really letting me know what was going on a logical level.
Right.
And from there, I went into her classes, and I became her assistant, and it just all took off from there. But it's a really, really profound, multi-dimensional experience.
And when you say multidimensional, help me understand what you're trying to express, because that's pretty tough to put into words. But I want to visualize it. So when you say multidimensional, what was going on?
So what that means for my experience is that it can go into a past life or even a future, or even jumping back into time within this lifetime. Or even as I got much more experience with the work, we actually travel to different worlds, the upper world, the lower world. And as you're traveling to all these worlds, or traveling back through time or ahead of time, you're stepping into different dimensions and you're healing those energetic bodies. And then it all trickles back down into the third dimension. And when your reality shifts in this dimension, that's when all the fun starts.
And drugs, were there, or was this done just with your mind?
Just with the mind. I actually have never done ayahuasca.
Right.
I'm not against it. I just have never done it yet.
Okay. Would you?
I probably would under the right circumstances, but I don't feel like the right circumstances have presented themselves to me yet. I feel if I'm going to do something like that, because I don't really dabble in drugs or psychedelics really, so it would have to be a very, very safe environment.
Yeah, I'm the same way. You know, Rita is open to it. What we did? We went and researched a bunch of experiences that people have had. Not the same sources either. We went all over the place. And what was crazy for us was everybody was having the same nearly identical experience, right? And
interesting.
Yeah, which is cool, right? I'm with that. But I'm a little bit nervous because of, for me personally, that how profound it is and how strong it is, and also how uncontrollable it. You can't stop it, right? You can't get off the train once you close the door, right? And so that's the part for me, because I like to maintain, you know, and so that's but I know that there's something going on there with it, and if it's done correctly, I'm totally with you. If it was the right, you know, the right shaman, the right person, the right environment, and everything was correct, I probably would go there. You know, I would, just as long as I wouldn't have any friends around me that would embarrass me later and tell me about what I was doing. But you did this without ayahuasca, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And tell me, I'm really interested, really quick before we move on, about the time travel part, and specifically, you just mentioned back in time. Where did you go?
Well, it's doing a past life, and it's actually hashing up that cellular memory that's held within us or held within our DNA.
Right.
So you're just tapping into that past life memory. And it's really funny because the last session that I did, we were on our journey, you know, we were having a good old time on our journey. And all of a sudden I projected into a future life for a moment. And I was like, oh, that was fun. So it's really, and if you listen to William Brown, who works for Nassim.
Love William.
If you listen.
Yes.
Yes. And so you're doing this work, but how do you verify it? So William Brown went through this whole lecture last year at Contact in the Desert about the wormholes in the universe, and he broke it all the way down to the wormholes in our body, and that's where you access the past life.
He's very profound. And
he's amazing.
Yeah, oh man. Last year at Contact, he was on a panel of mine that I was hosting. And out of everybody on the panel, strong people on this panel, the applause after he spoke, I was just so proud of him. I mean, he is just such a smart guy and has a lot to say. And that's interesting when you talk about it being inside of us. Now, I want to actually go back. When you went to a past life, do you remember who you were? I mean, and what was the atmosphere like? Please share that with me.
Okay, so I've been on many of my own past life journeys, but sometimes when I'm with a client, I really like for them to do their own work, but I tap in a little bit to their experience as well. So for mine, oh man, there's been a bunch. Let me go back. One of the most profound ones was, I believe I went back to my very first life on Earth, and it was extremely primitive, and the language was really unexplainable. It was almost just like clicking. It was very, very tribal.
Wow.
And it was funny because right before I journeyed back to this past life, I had extreme neck pain. I mean, it was just mounting into this migraine, but it was coming out of my neck. And so I told Mark, my husband, because he's done the training with me, I'm like, something's wrong. Like, get rid of this pain, do something. So we started our journey process, and I had my neck sawed off with an incredibly dull knife.
No, are you kidding me?
Wow.
No. Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, as soon as we went back to that memory and cleared it, the pain went away. And then he has also, Mark and I have been together in past lifetimes, and I think he strangled me to death. He's killed me a couple times. And so you can just start accessing these past lives. I was thrown off a carriage once because I was in England back in the day, and it was very political, and I was kind of a socialite, and I was trying to save the orphans. The politicians didn't like it, so they threw me out of the carriage to my death. And anybody can access these. We all have them.
And now, how, because of what you were going through in your childhood, and you had issues, and you saw this shaman, and you started this path of healing, how did you start to change?
Oh, well, you know how it's polite for men when they ask your age, they're supposed to guess a couple of years younger?
Right.
So when I was, I think in my early 30s, people would guess that I'm older than I was. Through this process of clearing and clearing and clearing, I look younger. I don't get sick anymore. I mean, I never get sick. I used to be sick all the time. I was on antibiotics all the time. I don't get sick anymore. Everything has literally changed. And it also changed how you deal with drama that comes your way. Like when you're put in a traumatic situation, when you have a completely different view of it, or you can look from it from a different perspective, it barely touches you. And I mean, I am telling you, I would not be doing this work if it did not change me. It has been so liberating. And I'm happy. I'm not on any medications. I don't get depressed. I mean, I was clinically diagnosed with manic depression. I'm not on anything.
When you do this, and I want to talk a little ET as well. Okay, we have to go there. But yeah, right, and we'll do that right after the break. But as you start to go through this transformation, at what point did you stop and go, holy crap, life is not the reality that we know. There is a whole another thing out there that we need to tap into, and that we can. When did you come to that realization?
Okay, let me backtrack. I'm pretty sure, because everything just gets into this big quantum soup of,
right,
one big thing. Before I ever went to a shaman, I actually went to John of God in Brazil. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I went there. I've been there 4 times. And I think that is what really opened me up to actually receiving the shamanic work so well. When I went there, I mean, I have literally been in front of John of God when he is scraping the eyeballs of a blind man with an unsterile kitchen knife.
Right.
And the guy can see. Like, I have been standing right there when that's happened.
Right.
It's crazy. I've seen the weirdest stuff down there. And no, it gets better. So when the last time I went down there, I was on the verge of a breakup with Mark, and I was complaining about the food. It was salty. It wasn't salty. And my friends were making fun of me. They're telling me I was pregnant. I'm like, no, I'm not. And John of God told me that I was. But, whatever. That's a 50-50 chance. He could be right. He could be wrong. Well, one of the entities that he incorporates as Dr. Augusto, who's my doctor when I always go to Brazil, his image is in my son's ultrasound.
Okay. Explain. You just caught me off guard. Explain. What do you mean?
Okay, so
I mean, do you have to squint to see his image, or he was in the ultrasound?
He's in the ultrasound. So here's the test. Here's the catch. So Mark's mom was down, and she thinks we're just crazy, right? She doesn't believe in any of this. And she's an artist, and she starts looking at the ultrasound pictures, and she's like, hey, there's a face in there. So then we saw it. I didn't see it at first, right?
Right.
And I ran up and I got the flyer or the little pamphlet with all the entities on it that he incorporates. And I said, pick out that face. And she did it. And then I had my dad do it. And he's not really a believer either. He wasn't. He is now. And so that's the verification that I always look for, is when it comes from a non-believer and they pick it out. But yeah, it's in there. It's in the baby book. I mean, it's clear as day.
And so then what happened next?
I had a baby.
I wish the audience could actually be sitting with us and watching you. That's why I'm laughing. I know Holly. She's the bomb. Half of talking with Holly is the visual. Let's jump into our first break here, Holly. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little ET. We have to talk about what happened at Contact in the Desert over the weekend. That was absolutely extraordinary.
Absolutely.
And we're going to start tying all of this together. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, the one and only Holly Cook. I'll be right back.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you know what's in your body soap? Well, I didn't know the answer until about 5 years ago when I looked at the label of my soap and was shocked to see all the chemicals. For my entire life, I had been assaulting the largest organ of my body, my skin, and to think my children were using it too. Well, a lot has changed since then. Today, my family and I operate Stone City Farms, where we make and sell all natural goat milk soap using fresh goat milk from goats we raise on our farm. Our mission at Stone City Farm is to produce high-quality, all-natural goat milk soap for people who want a fresh, unrefined, natural product. At Stone City Farms, we offer scented and unscented soaps and a signature line of gift sets customizable to your needs. To see what our customers are saying, go to StoneCityFarm.com. Use the code NATURAL for a 20% discount. That's StoneCityFarm.com, code NATURAL for 20% off your order. You never know what could be hiding in your soap.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With a mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest is Holly Cook. Tomorrow night, Fader Night, open lines. John Rappaport will be here with us. No more fake newsroom. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Follow us on Twitter. Right now, Twitter's on fire. I'm just loving this right now, Holly. And Holly, let me ask you a couple of questions. How easy would it be for me to do a past life regression? Could you pull that off?
I haven't had one person come through that I have not had a successful past life with.
And have you had somebody go, that scared me. That was good enough. I don't want to do that again.
Not really. Where people really kind of have a hard time is really getting. The past lives come pretty easy because they're ready, but where people really kind of get scared is actually going back in this lifetime.
Explain.
So,
to my childhood.
A lot of people. Go ahead.
To my childhood? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes. I feel like when people come in for a past life, they're ready. But they're a little bit detached from it, right? Because it's not this lifetime. But when people come in and they have to deal with something from this lifetime, it's a little bit more scary because you're usually dealing with a trauma that someone has inflicted on you from this lifetime. Or it could mean that maybe you're going to face the fact that your relationship isn't working out, or something within this lifetime that you do have control over. Honestly, we don't really have control over our past lives.
Yeah, exactly. And the trauma that could be involved, like for you, I mean, you were, beheaded, right? And that's
a couple times.
Yeah. What was it did you find out? What did you do to deserve getting your head lopped off?
The very first lifetime, the tribal one,
yes,
I was actually a man.
Okay.
And I fell in love with the tribal chief's wife.
And they chopped your head off.
Well, yeah, wouldn't you?
Right? Yeah. Well, I've spoken about this before, and I just feel when I hear about past life regressions, and people refer, I was the King of England, right? I was Cleopatra. That's where I kind of disconnected a little bit. Me, if I did a past life, I would be somebody rolling in the mud on the side of the road begging for change. That would be.
I am so glad that I was not going to say anything. It amazes me how many people I've met that were Cleopatra or some pharaoh in Egypt in a past life.
Why is that?
And I think it's a little bit of ego.
Right.
My past life in Egypt, I was a little gay boy. I mean, right? And I was walking down the Nile, whatever, with the fruit basket on my head, trying to be a girl, and this dude on a black horse just came up with a sword and just, wow, we'll have none of that. I wasn't a pharaoh. I wasn't Cleopatra. I think the whole notion of a past life is gotten really polluted, and we're trying to maybe compensate for what we're not in this lifetime.
Right.
Because I'm just like you. Yeah, I have not had my most glorious past life was when I was the socialite sticking up trying to save the orphanage, and I got pushed out of the carriage. That was like my most grandiose past life, but other than that, yeah, I've been poor. I've been, like the beggar, whatever. And I just, it's ego. And there's a lot of ego out there to be filled.
At what point?
And worked through.
At what point do we stop the reincarnation? When do we depart? When do we depart Earth and not come back?
You know, I don't know. I am really trying hard this lifetime to work through all of my lessons so I don't have to come back.
And yeah, exactly. And so where does that progression lead to? What's the next step?
You know, there's so many different theories out there that we just kind of go into the fifth dimension or beyond. Some people think we go to different planets. I don't know. I'm just kind of done being here. I'm just done being here. But maybe we don't go anywhere. Maybe we just come back and experience a better life.
Come back.
I don't think anybody really knows.
Come back as a cat. That would be a better life.
You think so? I don't know. I don't know.
I think cats got us pretty dialed myself. So that's my opinion. But now, this past weekend at Contact in the Desert, with all of your experience, and you walk around and these sightings that happened all weekend long, how are they connected to us? Now that I have seen what I've seen, and I'm still digesting it, so many days later. What's the connection, Holly?
You know, I really think that when enough people gather with that intention, we call them in. I fully believe that. And there's a couple different theories about when we see them flashing in the sky. Some people say it's Star Wars, like the intergalactic Star Wars going on. Other people, like on your show last night with James, talking about how they're flashing to say hello to you.
Right.
I see the flashers all the time. We had, after the last Contact in the Desert, we hosted Michael Tellinger up here, and we had Jose Munoz, who does the Mayan calendar, Rainbow Thunderheart, and we had this amazing fire ceremony. I mean, it was really, really powerful. And 48 hours later, like this huge craft just flew over our house and just flashed us and took off. But if you sit back and you're patient enough, the crafts, they show up all the time.
It was so amazing for me to step up there and with the phone call that came into Rita, from Anna, you got to get up here, UFOs are everywhere. That was, and click, and we take off, and I step up and tilt my head back and see this star move across the sky and disappear. I'm standing there for 10 seconds, and I don't even know what to say at that moment. My brain just could not digest and process what I just witnessed. And everybody is hooping and hollering and seeing this at the same time. And it was amazing, but it was hard, man. It was really hard. I needed a moment. I did. I had to stop and take a deep breath and collect my thoughts, and it just kept going on. There was things all over the place. And, and I saw two more things right after that. I mean, back to back. And I was so focused on what I was seeing in the skies, but there were other people there. There was 150 people there at Melinda's event that were going on in other parts of the sky at the same. I can't look at two things at the same time, is what I'm getting at. It was overwhelming. Right. My brain... It was, I said it last night, I felt like I was taking crazy pills. It was like this weird space that I stepped into because it was real. It was going on. And also, I want to say this to everybody. I've gotten a lot of email, a lot of responses, a lot of posts, and not only on all social media, from different witnesses that are all describing the exact same thing, and it's not individual, it's not imagination is where I'm going with this. This was this was happening. It was absolutely stunning. What did you see this weekend at Contact?
I was not there Saturday night. I was tied up helping some friends out, so I missed that. But I will tell you, Sunday night when I was doing the Tibetan Bowl, I saw one fly over and disappear.
Did you do the? That was back at Contact. Okay.
That was at Contact. I didn't do any night vision this weekend, but in the past, I see them all the time.
It's extraordinary, and once you see it, then it's so profound and so life-changing. I mean, once you see it and you can't explain it, look, if you see something in the sky, your brain is processing, okay, that's a plane, that's a balloon, that's a bird, that's that, it processes that and you make the excuse for it, or you correctly identify it, right? Okay, I get that. But when you see something that you can't explain, and your brain doesn't know how to deal with it, it's a pretty trippy thing mentally to go through. It's strange. It's like a dream.
Right. Absolutely. But your brain, I'm sure you've heard the story about when the Spanish conquistadors came to the South American shores and the villagers could not see the boats coming because it wasn't in their conscious knowledge to process what the ships were. Have you heard of that story?
Oh, of course.
But the shaman, but the shaman was able to see what it was. So many of us, I believe so many of us do see crafts and we justify it.
We have to.
It was a satellite.
Right.
It was a satellite.
Right. We have to. I mean, I understand, why we have to do that. You would lose your mind. I almost did, man. That was pretty nutty. And you know what? I in my descriptions of what I saw, nothing was, extreme. I'm not talking about, a super large craft with lights all over it and Steven Spielberg and Close Encounters and, I'm not going there. But what I did see was probably crazier than that, in my opinion, because it was real. That's the thing. Nobody's ever going to change. When I was sitting there, you were there Sunday night, and Mike Barra and Richard Dolan were sitting there with the Fadernauts. And I don't know if you heard Mike Barra, fire back at me when he said, Jimmy, 29 Palms, the Marine station is right down the street. Now, come on. And I said, Mike, do not go there. I saw what I saw. That's it. It wasn't anything. It wasn't aircraft. It wasn't that. What I saw is what I saw. And it was him trying to explain away. And no, I don't need, in this case, Holly, I don't need to go there. I saw what I saw, and it's
absolutely,
I don't have anything crazy to say. I wasn't abducted. I didn't see any beams of light come down to the ground and grab cattle. No, that's not where I'm going here. I saw a planet or a star move a foot in the sky and disappear. I saw that with my own two eyes. No night vision. That's what I saw. It was nothing. Right. It was nothing more than that. But that's the crazy part. You can't just say that to somebody with a straight face and have them even digest or understand what I'm trying to describe to them. I'm not talking.
Well, I know that Rita was really blown away too. That was her first sighting, right?
This was as we were walking away. We barely talked, by the way. We were both stunned, right? We get in the car and we're driving over to the Fader house, and we get in the car and she goes, "They're real." That's all. She was just staring out the window, and I mean, we kind of giggled like little kids a couple of times, because it was kind of fun and cool. But as the night went on, it got less and less funny. It was a pretty serious thing to have go down.
It makes us really question our existence. We have so many beliefs put upon us by, educational institutions or religious institutions, and then we have to unprogram all of that.
Why? Yeah, exactly. Why? That's the thing. Why is it that we have most of the United States will admit anybody that you go up to, child or adult, you go up to and you ask them if we're alone in the universe, they're going to say, of course we're not. There's life out there, right? We have that part. And then we have the experiences that we went through this weekend. And then we have to convince and we have to explain hard to them, and they won't buy into that. We can, you know what I mean? It's like it's a paradox.
Right. And well, I feel that people are afraid of change. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on that is we really are in this major energetic shift. I mean, people are healing miraculously. There's so many unexplained things going on. I have a lot of women that come to me that are just suffering from these psychic abilities that they're starting to get, and their husbands think they're crazy and they don't know who to turn to, and they're coming to me because they don't know how to ground, or they don't know if what they're experiencing is real or not. And whatever's going on, the blue avians or just where we are in the solar system, whatever is happening is happening. I mean, I would say within the last couple of months, a good majority of the people coming to me are trying to figure out why they're having the experiences that they're having.
What experiences are they having? And when you talk about psychic abilities, what are you referring to? What's going on?
I had one woman who she would, and I know a couple of people like this, they pick, and I don't do this, so it's hard for me to explain, but they pick up what people are feeling through sense. So their sense of smell is picking up the feelings of other people. And it's totally overwhelming because obviously if you're not in a positive emotion, it's going to be a bad odor. So it's not something that you and I could pick up. It's something that these certain gifted people are picking up. And it's so bad that I had one woman who took the train to work, and she almost had to stop riding the train. So she came in, she was able to get grounded, and her symptoms went away like by 85%. It was totally tolerable to ride the train, and her ability shifted over more into being able to pick up what animals were feeling. So it's kind of like we shifted that so she could focus her gift over onto animals. And I've just had a bunch of people come in. They've had really, they're starting to know things before they happen, and they never believed in anything psychic or spiritual or woo-woo. And so they're starting to have these experiences knowing them before they happen, and that really freaks people out. Or they're just, really starting to be empathetic to other people's feelings, and it's overwhelming. Like for me, I can go out almost anywhere. I don't know how I turn off and on my senses. I'm not really sure, but I'm okay most of the time. But once I get somebody on my table into the journey, it's like I'm right there with them. I am right there with them. We're on the same journey. I'm seeing most of the time what they're seeing and experiencing, but then it's done. Then I'm okay again.
And do you think this is directly connected to something that's about to happen? And I'll say this: the events this weekend at Contact, which were absolutely extraordinary, hundreds, if not thousands, of witnesses. Right, this big show that was going on. I saw it myself 2 nights in a row. Pretty nutty, but that's happening for us, and we get it. We were all out there, and we were in tune. I understand that now, but why not over Los Angeles? Why not that light show over Los Angeles, California? That's... Well,
I mean, it happened in Phoenix.
It did. Okay. All right. It did.
I mean, it is happening. And it happened in Israel. I mean, it's happened in Russia, Brazil, all the time. It is happening.
Well, our sighting, Rita and I had, I'll tell the story again, and I know you, but we have to tie this together. Rita and I had our sighting here in Los Angeles, in the San Fernando Valley, and that light, that orb, came down straight out of the sky, lasted for about a second, maybe. It was moving, and landed in downtown Van Nuys, and I thought it was going to explode right now. But this is the thing about that event, which is exactly what we're talking about. There were no reports about this on the news. There was nothing in the LA Times. I followed up on it for a week. There were no reports in the MUFON, and I didn't get that. I would have thought, from what I saw, that there would have been thousands and thousands of. It's the San Fernando Valley. There's a million people here, and it was at 10:30 at night. This wasn't at 3 a.m. It was at 10:30 at night, and I don't understand that. And what went on out in Contact in the Desert, everybody saw, but where there's less population, there's less people out there. Out here in L.A., it happened. I saw it, and nothing. No reports, nothing.
It doesn't surprise me that it wasn't in the mainstream media, but I'm really surprised it wasn't anywhere on MUFON.
That's right. I mean, I can't explain it. I can't.
Surprising.
Yeah, absolutely. And this was the with all of the email and information that I've gotten back from the witnesses out at Contact in the Desert. And people that have heard me report about this on the show, and they're sending me, stuff back going, you know what, man, I saw exactly what you saw. Exactly, everything the way that you described it is the way that it went down. And I can't explain this away. I can't. It went on out there.
No, you're changed forever from it. Your whole reality has shifted.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's a definite paradigm shift. Have you had, aside from sightings, have you had any direct contact?
I have been through journeying, but we send out our consciousness. That's how we remote view, is we send out our consciousness. So I have been on journeys where I have been inside of healing chambers like that, but the most physical experience that I have had is I fell really hard snowboarding. I fell really hard. I hurt my hip. It got to the point, it was in May, a couple of years ago. By July, I was struggling to walk. I mean, I smashed my hip. And I was in this other Michael Harner shamanic class, and this guy had these Arcturian, organite triangles to beam out. And so I tried it, and I went up and I asked for a healing. And I did. I went up and I saw these two beings in this kind of blue ship, right? And I asked them for a healing. And then I went back to my hotel room, went to bed, forgot about it. And I am telling you, at 4:20 in the morning, I was dropped back into my body so hard that I woke up. I mean, it shocked me. I woke up, looked around, didn't know what happened, and then, went back to sleep. And the next day, my hip was healed. My hip went from struggling to walk to being healed. And I've talked to a couple of people about it, and they're saying that it was probably the Arcturians, but I don't know.
That's interesting. What do you remember what they looked like?
Yeah, it was they were in this kind of iridescent blue, kind of looked like a little jelly bean almost, but it was big, right? And then the beings were humanoids, but they were staticky looking. They were black and white, staticky looking. Like when the TV goes out. Right.
But that kind of sounds scary to me. Were you scared?
No. Why would I be scared?
I would have been. I mean,
well, no, I just beamed out and I asked. No, it wasn't scary.
Okay.
I got my hip healed. It was awesome.
Our guest tonight is Holly Cook. And Holly, how did, in this transformation, before we hit the break in a couple of seconds here, in this transformation, when you were younger, before all of this happened, do you think you had a negative part of you too, and the bullying and everything else, and that you made this transformation? Because today you're Holly Cook, cool chick, right? And that's who you are. That's your aura, and you know this. Okay, all right. You can giggle, that's fine, but you know this. So, are you a different person than who you were earlier?
Oh my gosh, as Gordon David Asher would say, maybe I had a walk-in. Yes, absolutely. No, you know what, Jimmy? Oh my God, I don't know how I survived. I used to just wake up in tears. I could barely get out of bed. And I try to explain this to my clients, and they're looking at me like I'm lying to them. And that's the one thing I wish Facebook was that old, because we all air our stuff on Facebook, let's face it. And right. I wish I could go back 10 or 20 years and pull up what I was feeling. But I didn't journal or anything. Absolutely 100% a different person.
That's so interesting. Let's take a break right here, Holly. When we come back, you've got to share the story about the drought and the ending of the drought. Will you do that for us? Yeah, with Tellinger.
The ending of the drought.
Yeah, the ending of the drought. The ceremony. Think about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For sure. Absolutely.
We'll be right back.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on the smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
If your home has hard water and it's leaving white spots, then it's likely that limescale is clogging your pipes. Limescale can cost hundreds of dollars a year in wasted energy and early appliance breakdown. HydroCare systems available at Wave Home Solutions prevent and remove limescale with just a simple filter change every 3 years. There are no salts, chemicals, or magnetic coils. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, just go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Hi, I'm Richard Dolan. When I'm not hosting my radio program, The Richard Dolan Show on KGRA, or writing new books on UFOs, I run a publishing company. I'm proud to say that Richard Dolan Press has published some of the most fascinating books available on UFOs and related subjects. They include Dr. Bruce Maccabee's classic analysis of the UFO cover-up, David Marler's breakthrough book on triangular UFOs, Dr. Richard Sauter's unique work on underground bases, and other classics by Grant Cameron, Chase Kletsky, and Dr. Bob Wood, not to mention intriguing works by Eve Lorgan and Laurie McDonald that deal with truly bizarre phenomena. I'm proud to publish such high-quality and original works, and there are several amazing books about to be released over the next few months. Go to richarddolanpress.com to learn more.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of Fade to Black by just calling 605-562-4482. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Just call 605-562-4482. You can listen to me, Jimmy Church, on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Go Beckley Tappy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Holly Cook. Tomorrow night, open lines, Fader night. John Rappaport's going to be here with us. No more fake newsroom Saturday. I'll be over at Coast to Coast AM. I am going to be talking about the sightings out of contact in the desert, and I will have Melinda Leslie on with me, who not only it was her event that was there that we were part of, but she helped me get through it. So, and she was witness to everything that happened that night. So that'll be the first hour. And then after that, David Sereda is going to be my guest over at Coast to Coast, and we'll be taking your calls all night long. So that's the week here. It's been a busy week at Fade to Black. Now, Holly, before we get to the drought, that is an amazing event. So we're going to get to that. But Walter says, what is your method of aiding someone in achieving a past life regression or a future life? How do you get it done?
Oh, you know what? I'm so glad that question was asked. Well, what I do in a session, because they can go anywhere, is I want to hear your story. I really want to hear your story. And when I'm hearing your story, and this is related to the past life. When I'm hearing your story, you're giving me clues of how to regress you and what I'm going to regress you on. And so after I'm hearing the story, your whole life, I'll drop you back into that point or beyond. And that's when the transformation starts. So I do the traditional shamanic. After the story, I lay you down on my table. I have what's called a mesa, which is a sacred medicine bundle, and it has 13 rocks in it, which represent the lunar calendar. Each rock is programmed with a meaning, and that helps me to also read what's going on. And then I'll regress you back. We go, to a garden or wherever. And how I do it is I'll have you walk down a path. You're in an altered state of consciousness, and the path is lined with crystals. And a crystal will stand out to you. You pick up the crystal, and then you peer into the crystal, and then that shows you your past life. And it usually works pretty well. Once in a while, someone's really resistant and I have to journey for them. But 9 out of 10 times, the person, because it's so comfortable. I mean, we're really comfortable because we talk for 45 minutes to an hour. We laugh, we cry. And that's the whole thing. It's getting that person comfortable enough and safe enough to drop down that deep, because anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So once we get into that past life, we heal it, because you want to erase that energetic imprint, because it's still manifesting in this lifetime. And it's usually related in the same exact chakra. So, and we can get all into the 7 generational curse and that. So you heal that past life, you do the forgiveness, and you learn the lesson, because in that lesson, gaining that wisdom, that is how you break the pattern of karma.
How deep is the regression? I mean,
everybody's different. I'm working an ancestor piece on Thursday with this woman, and I don't know how I'm going to do it. Every time she gets on my table, she's gone. Some people a lot of people are with me as I guide them through the journey, but there's a few people who totally go out, and then I just kind of have to do it on my own. It's still working because we're in the same energy field, but I prefer them to be semi-coherent but altered.
And how do you to say this correctly because I don't want to sound negative, but that's what you're looking for. You're trying.
No, sound negative. That's fine, because if you're thinking that other people are thinking it, so bring it.
Yeah.
I mean, let's.
Well, I mean, you're looking for, you're trying to cleanse. You're trying to find issues, and how do you know when to stop at a certain negative point? Or, I mean, is it not negative enough, and maybe you want to go and look for something else? What is it that you are looking for?
Okay, so let me just give a prime example, and I hate to do this to the ladies out there, but I am.
That's exactly.
I always get the women coming to me who are disgruntled in their marriage or their relationship. And it never has anything to do with their husband. It is usually a past life that has been unresolved or inner child work. So whatever the complaint is, my husband, we don't communicate, or he doesn't, that sounds little, we don't communicate, or he doesn't treasure me, or, we've fallen out of love, but obviously that's going to ruin a marriage. So a lot of times we'll drop that into a past life to resolve what happened at that point. And it could have been something where it was a bad relationship in a past life, and you're still carrying that energetic imprint with you into this life. So it's still manifesting. And it gets really complicated, but you're finding the root of the problem within this lifetime. And then it can just spiral into a past life or the inner child, or you might have an entity or whatever it might be. And you might even have an entity attachment to where the attachment needs a soul retrieval to move on to the other realms permanently.
Interesting.
And that's, yeah. So I had a friend, and her husband was in a really bad accident, and he ended up getting brain damage. It wasn't his fault. And then the authorities took him down because he committed a crime. And he ended up, his spirit ended up attaching to this woman. So I said, we're friends. Just go to Stockton, to this woman that I know in Stockton. So I sent her to a healer in Stockton, and the entity was removed. And a couple months later, it came back again. So she was going to go to the psychic in town. I said, no, just come to me, right? So I get her regressed, and you could feel him in the room. Like, he came in really super powerfully. And I'm like, okay, like, why did he come back? I'm racking my brain. Like, I really don't know what to do at this point. This was a couple of years ago. And the thing that I did was I brought him, he came back into the room. I did a soul retrieval on him from this lifetime when he got shot, made his soul or his spirit complete, sent him off to the light. And my friend said that when she went home, it's like the veils had been ripped off of her eyes, and she looked at her new husband in a completely different light. So the sessions go all over the place. I just channel in where they're going to go. And they do get complicated. I mean, sometimes I'm chasing the whole chakra system, like up and down the body, because they keep going out because so much stuff is coming up. But I feel like the length and how deep we work together is why the sessions hold and why the people actually get changes.
Can somebody out of vengeance throw negativity into somebody else's life?
Absolutely.
And how often do
Absolutely.
how often do you see that?
I see it happen. I'll see people, they'll come in because they have psychic attack, and they'll come in to get it cleared. And what I usually do is I put like a crystal concave quartz mirror at the back of their third eye, which is that oh man, I'm blanking out. On the back of your head, that little divot on the back of your head, and that deflects the psychic energy. But I kind of have a theory that yes, black magic is very real and people can throw it at you, but if you're shining like a light bulb, you're going to attract mosquitoes. Right. But if you're shining ultraviolet, nothing can attach to you. You zap it away. So just shine brighter.
I found that, and I think you and I actually talked about this. I certainly talked about it with Mark. And when Wilcock was there, we had a deep conversation about this with everybody. But I found that I made this change in my life probably about 10 or 15 years ago, in that I found that when I had negative people around me, people that were complaining or people that would talk smack about other people or whatever, I would just disconnect from them. And I wouldn't engage in those conversations. I just wouldn't do it. Because every time that I did, it made me a different person. I felt ill. I felt weird. And I was thinking about negative things. And when I stopped doing that, I always called it carrying Samsonite luggage off of me, right? Holding me down. And when I made this conscious effort to not have negativity in my life, I felt better. And it was just really strange. How can we combat that? How do we get rid of the Samsonite luggage hanging off of us that we're dragging around that holds us back?
Exactly what you said, you disengage. And how I look at a lot of things is creating a grid. Like at Contact in the Desert, we were all there for pretty much the same reason. So we were creating this huge grid of consciousness, vibrating at a certain level. And when you're around negative people, I'm the same way. And I had a really negative experience projected onto me. It contacted the desert, and it gave me tons of anxiety. I mentioned it a little bit, and it didn't make me feel good. So it's pulling away from that. Even with the TV, it's just negativity and violence. You just pull away from it. And I have a lot of women or men too. I have a lot of men that come to me too, but it's like they'll start to raise their vibration, and I have to warn them. Like, it is a warning. It's people that you think are your friends are going to fall away because you're no longer vibrating at that frequency. They won't be around you. And I've had people go, okay, like, I don't have the negative people in my life, and it's kind of scary, but I feel better. And I really have to hold them and just be like, it's okay. You're making room, your vibration's changing, and you're making room for positive people to come in. And that is actually what happens. We can even measure that vibration scientifically.
And what do you do with maybe a close friend of yours that's getting negative? Do you really take those steps, like unfriend them in Facebook, stop returning their calls, stop picking up their calls when they call, because you're going to get sucked into some negative conversation that is going to hold you back? How do you do that? Do you have a conversation with your friend, or do you just disengage completely?
What's funny is I've been on this path of ascension or expansion, whatever you want to call it. It just kind of naturally happens. You just sort of grow apart. There's people that I've grown apart from, and I don't have any ill feelings towards them. It's weird. The universe just sort of gently and gracefully will put you on separate paths. But I don't disengage with every single person that has a bad day. That's what friends are for. But there's a difference of having a really negative situation happen.
Right.
And then expressing yourself and being authentic and feeling safe to express it. So there's that, but then you take care of it. It may take a little while, but you take care of it. But there's other people, and I call them colluders. And when I talk, actually I have a whole thing on a whole subject called Victims Don't Hold Wisdom. And you notice that, you know, people that are down, they'll have the same, or even if you're up, you'll have the same sort of friends. So if you're really down and you're complaining about your story all the time, whatever it is, you're going to attract those same kind of people into your life.
That's right. That's 100% correct. You know, and it's just where it works for me, you know, and I'm not anybody's doctor, right, or father, you know, to sit down and discuss somebody's issues with them. That's not my job. But what I can't do in my life, I can't read the negativity. I can't hear the negativity. I just don't participate. I don't type the negativity. And I'm just better.
Hard.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe we almost blew past this whole segment. You've got to share the story about what happened last year and the drought and the ceremony. Start at the beginning. Who was at the house, and what were the issues that were going on in the Central Valley?
Okay, so everybody knows we were hit really, really hard with the drought. It's been going on for a couple of years. And last year, it was so bad last year. And so it was right after Contact in the Desert. And I kind of touched on the ceremony earlier. It's when we had Michael Tellinger come up.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hosted Michael Tellinger. We had Jose Munoz, who reads the Mayan calendar, and Rainbow Thunderheart Bobido.
Absolutely.
Who's I can't remember what elder he is. He's from
That's okay.
He's
Move
not
on.
Cherokee, but whatever. So they were all here, and it was funny because I had Michael Tellinger at this workshop, right? And then our friend Kara, all these people started showing up at our house, and the people I didn't know. And I literally walked into my house full of 26 strangers, just all in my house, you know, but I mean, whatever, we're all for the same thing. It was fun. And then, but the special thing is, so we had an ancient crystal skull with us, and we had 2 of those Taurus stones that Michael Tellinger had brought over from Africa. These Taurus stones are activated, and they came off an ancient archaeological site, and they're so powerful that they shut down the TSA. So he had one, and then another woman showed up with one. So we had the male and the female stones, and we made this huge grid with all these crystals and Kami Sini, the crystal skull. And then we did this amazing fire ceremony to bring in the rain. And then Rainbow Thunderheart changed the molecular structure of the air, taking away the negativity, which is our emotion. And he said, in 7 days, it'll rain. And I am telling you, this was a Sunday night. Okay. And I was like, nah, there is.
All right, let me jump in. So at this point, are you buying into it? Are you there? Are you not there? You know what? And you know exactly what I'm saying.
I'm trying to buy into it, but I mean, we were in a severe drought. Like everybody's lawns was brown. We're on water ration. I mean, it's June, right? And we're in a heat wave, and I am telling you, this is Sunday night. So I'm trying to be fully on board, but like there's a little bit of skeptic going like, yeah, right.
Right.
Wednesday, I am telling you, man. Wednesday, it did not rain. It monsooned. I don't know where this rain came out of. Like it was like raining in like Seattle rain. The gutters were filling up. I mean, you were drenched just getting out of your car. It was crazy. And it just poured and poured and poured for hours. And then that was it. It was like,
and we got our almonds.
We went on with summer.
We got our almonds back.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now the question is, are you buying into it now? After that happened, were you like, holy crap?
Absolutely no. Well, it kept going because we started to do this full moon rain ceremony. down in Castro Valley, California.
Right.
And we did it 2 other times. We didn't have the full crew with us, but each time we did it, so it was June, July, and August, we would get it would sprinkle out of nowhere. The rain would come. So we do have the ability to change and control the weather.
Now, I'm going to ask you this for our what do you think of the Fadernauts?
They are so cool, man. Every year at Contact, I hang out with so many different people, and I love them all. But they were so cool and down to earth and friendly. They made me feel right at home. Like, there was none of that weird, awkward, I got to get to know you and I have to watch what I say. They were just like, boom, what's up, sister? I've known you for 20 years.
It's pretty cool, isn't it, to see, because, Contact, we just came off of Contact, so, we're dealing with that now. But to see that many there, for not only Fade to Black, but because of themselves, right? They're there because they're a family that has grown. Right. And to see that group that was always there, no matter where you went, there was a group of Fadernauts there, and they were there in force this year. Last year, I thought it was pretty cool. This year, it was, and there wasn't another group like that was walking around at Contact. And what does that make? It's just like, there's something going on here with this movement, with this Fadernaut thing. I mean, this is real. This is tangible. When you actually see it in action like that, it's pretty trippy, isn't it?
Yeah, and every single one of them was so kind and gracious and accepting. I'm in. They're amazing. And I loved how Anya just kicked up this total conversation with David Wilcock, and she knew all the science information that he did. And, it was just, welcome to the family. Here we are. It doesn't matter who you are. You're home.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see, not only Wilcock and Corey Good, but, Lori McDonald and Richard Dolan, and Bear has experienced it before, but for everybody to get together like that, and the Fadernauts are smart. See, that's the thing. They are.
Oh my gosh, they are.
Yeah. They're there to have a good time, right? To let loose, and which is great. But they've got questions. And for them to sit down and to see the interaction going on with all of you researchers and consciousness and UFO experts and all of that, that's going on, for them to sit down and have the Fadernauts one after another ask these, not only, engage in this intelligent conversation. And I was just like, man, you guys are making me proud, man. I just got to kick back and watch this go on. And I think that's the one of the most amazing parts of this family, is that they're so bleeping smart. I don't know what to say, man, but it was just really, really fun to see them just kick back and get these conversations going. And they did it all day at CITD and then all night at the different, Fader houses around the valley.
Absolutely. Yes. And in fact, I have Gabe's organite that he gave me right here. I mean, it's such a powerful piece, and they were all amazing. Like Cortona, Blair, Gigi, they were all so amazing.
Yeah, totally. And how was your, before we head to the break, and when we come back, everybody, we're going to start taking your phone calls, 323-825-5045. Get in line, and we'll do that after the break. But check this out. So I'm introducing David Wilcock, right? And Corey's on stage. And Gabe steps up and gives Corey some organite. And Corey goes, Jimmy, what? I said, that's my boy, man. That's my boy right there, Gabriel. Is this cool? I said, man, You're going to take that with you. And to see Gabriel's face when that went down, right? And then, what happens later on, he gets to sit down with Corey Good later on over at the Fader house and talk Organite. Man, I mean, I just feel like the den mother, It was pretty heartwarming.
Corey Good was such a treat, man. I had no idea. I was so stoked. I was like, wow, Corey Good's here. No way. Well, yeah. I mean, just that he showed up at Contact, I was so happy.
This is the thing about Corey, and I'm glad that you say that. For everybody out there, Corey has been in the background, with David, doing stuff with Gaia and doing those presentations. But it's another thing, isn't it, to see him in person and sit down and talk with him, because, this is some extraordinary stuff that these guys are talking about. And then you sit down with Corey and you're just like, holy crap. Isn't that the most impressive part about him, is that he's just a guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so humble. Like, for the knowledge that he holds, he is so kind and humble.
Not a bad-looking guy either. So this is...
Yeah, not bad.
This is Fade to Black. Let's jump back. We're going to take a break. Holly Cook is our guest. We're taking your phone calls next. 323-825-5045. And I know all of those Fader knots out there that hung out with Holly and Mark and Lori and everybody else all weekend long. You want to call in and say hi to Holly and then ask her a really cool question. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Holly Cook, your phone calls next. Stay right there.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of this product.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help so it has the tools to heal itself.
To order your 2-month supply, call now toll-free 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
What's up, Fader Knots? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129 and use the promo code JCRTWS and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me right now on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Our guest tonight is Holly Cook. Tomorrow night, open lines, and John Rappaport will be here with his No More Fake Newsroom. Taking Friday off. Saturday, I'm over at Coast to Coast. My guests are Melinda Leslie and David Serrata. All right, let's get back to Holly in the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Holly.
Hello?
You're live right now.
Hi, this is Howard from Canada. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good,
Excellent,
Howard.
thank you.
How are you, Howard?
Doing tremendous here. I'm glad to hear about your sighting there, Jimmy. It really makes me feel just more validated in what is going around in this world in terms of these ET and UFOs experiences. I have 2 questions for Holly and kind of a question for both of you, too. Question for Holly. When she's dealing with clients, and let's say you're removing negative entities from their energetic self, for example, if someone has a religious background, for example, like let's say someone's Hindu or someone's Jewish, how does that play in terms of the removing of the entities? Because if they don't have that in their religious background and that entity is there, could that be interpreted as something else?
Most people with strict religious backgrounds do not come to me, but I have had people of Christian backgrounds come to me because they've read something in the Bible that validates the work I do, where a lot of people haven't. So in removing a negative energy, you can remove it in a different form than something other than an entity. And there are 2 separate issues. Like there can definitely be a negative energy that's accumulated from a trauma or an entity.
A spirit.
Yeah, a spirit, yes.
Interesting. And what was your name again? I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. It's Howard from Canada.
Yeah, Howard. And the other part that Howard mentioned, which I find is also interesting, if somebody does have a religious background, would they tie that, what their issues are, to specifically to their religion? And then would that make it more difficult for you, or does that even matter? For instance, like if it's somebody that's Catholic, they're going to think that they're possessed. Quite possibly. Right. That could be one of the issues. And because it's not a religious ceremony with a priest that's being done, would that would they consciously fight what is actually going on, because it isn't necessarily a pure religious ceremony, but it wouldn't be a demon necessarily, right? It could be another issue, but because it's not a religious ceremony, then it would complicate things and make the removal more difficult. Could they fight it?
Yes, they can fight it. But if your religion is conflicting with what I do, then they won't come. And I will say that we've all seen The Exorcist, and we've all seen those crazy church entity removals when the person is flying all over the floor and going into convulsions. That's not what I do.
Right.
When I remove entities, it's really smooth. It's really gentle. And I mean, I've removed entities remotely as far away as Saudi Arabia, and it's really a gentle process. So, I mean, if someone has a really hardcore belief that doesn't jive, they're not even going to come to me.
Right. Howard, what was your other, I'm sorry, Holly. Did I?
No, it's okay.
Okay, Howard.
No. So, yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
Yeah. Howard, your second question.
Well, and I want to follow up with that answer, actually, given, because what I think religion is doing, at least the mainstream religion, is what they do is they actually create a bind energetically. So when it comes to something like an entity in your way, the religion causes you almost not to believe what you're seeing. So in other words, it's trying to dispel the magic of what you're seeing. So in other words, the dark side's goal is not necessarily to make the world a bad place, but to basically make you feel that the good doesn't exist, like seeing what you saw at CITD, Jimmy.
Yeah. That's an interesting point.
So,
now
that brings me to my third point, Jimmy, and this is what I want to bring up, and also with you as well, Holly, that if the event that you had this past weekend was so good, so consciously raising, you had like-minded people there. They weren't sitting watching TV. They weren't sitting there eating McDonald's. You guys were engaging in a very conscious, elevating experience. And then from that point on, almost right to the point, where you said the event was over, that's when these images or these ships or whatever you want to call them came into play. So then my question would be, is I feel like your level of consciousness was raised from CITD to the point that you almost communicated that level of consciousness to these entities.
If that was pointed at me, I'll answer first, and then Holly, you jump in. But I was open to it. Okay, so yes, I agree there. There was, I'm not there to fight it, but I am truly objective too as well. I can tell you this, Howard, and I'm going to say this very directly. I was there to debunk and explain it away in my own mind's eye. I wasn't going to make a scene or anything, but I was going to walk away going, okay, they were seeing this or they were seeing that, or it was drones, somebody's flying something out there and people are mistaking something for something else. I was ready. I was 100% bullets in my gun, ready to go there. Okay? I was.
Yes, I agree.
But that ain't what happened, man. that I cannot explain what I saw. I cannot explain, the green orb, Holly, that I've been talking about, that green orb that was over at the mountain 10 miles away. That was big. And it was, when I say 10 miles, it could have been 5 miles, 10 miles, but it was a long ways away, and I could see it with my own eyes. So it was very large. And if it was a drone or something man-made, it would stay in our atmosphere and stay close to the ground. 30,000 feet, 5,000 feet, 100 feet, whatever. But this thing shot off like a bullet out of a gun and took off and flew out of the atmosphere, and it lasted for 5 minutes till it was a tiny pinprick of light, of green light, and then took a left-hand turn, literally a left-hand turn, and disappeared into the stars. Now, I can't explain that. That's nothing I can debunk, or anybody else. You can't debunk that. I mean, it was just an event that happened, just like I'm explaining it right now. I can't say any more than that because I don't know. That's only what I saw. How do you explain that away? You just can't do it. You can't. Nobody can. Not Obama, not a physicist from MIT, not an astronomer, not a pilot, not a school teacher, not a nun, not a cook. You can't explain that. and that's it. And nobody's going to tell me I saw anything different. Oh, it was this. No, it was not, brah. It was a green glowing orb that shot out into the stars.
As you're speaking to me, Jimmy, and I'm sure Holly will agree to this too, when you're at this level of consciousness, you speak from the heart. I'm hearing your truth. You don't need to say anything to me to validate what you went through. I'm hearing that consciousness. Like it's kind of a left brain sort of thing. It's like you don't have to give me the technical. I'm there with you. And I'm sure Holly could validate that. And with that said, I just wanted to say that this experience at CITD that you had, I think the group consciousness that you had that raised, that was able to do that, I think that's what brought upon this experience. Like, for example, you guys weren't sitting in a big community club watching the Super Bowl eating McDonald's.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Or I was alone. Okay. And you bring up a very, very good point. There was, you know what? You bring up something else I need to really emphasize here. The only thing that's helping me get through this mentally is that there were hundreds of other witnesses at that same moment seeing the exact same thing because I wasn't alone. And if I was alone and I'm telling you, I was out in the desert and I saw this, well, then you could call BS, right? I get that, and I would understand that, even though I did see it. But in this case, I feel really comfortable that there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have my back because they saw the exact same thing. And so, therefore, I feel pretty cool that I'm not losing my mind. But it was pretty trippy.
And the final thing I'd like to add before I'll let you go and go to other callers is, see, in that group of people, and going back to the original point I made earlier about sort of religious filters or any other kind of filters coming the way, what's to say that anyone that was standing there did not see what you saw based on their own beliefs?
Holly?
Can I jump in on that?
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, beautiful. I want to jump back really quick to the filters of the religion. I've worked with several people over the past years who are trying to break away from religion, and it's so deeply embedded into them that they are really, really struggling. They are so committed to the church and to religion, and they're trying to get out, and they struggle because they're not in alignment. And we didn't even get into the whole issue of being in alignment and how that shifts your reality, but you're so right on, Howard. And then, yes, the other thing, so if somebody was standing next to Jimmy that was so filtered they didn't believe it, I believe that their reality would not allow their eyes to physically see it. They just would not see it.
Well,
and that goes in. Go ahead.
I'm not so sure, Holly, because I had my skeptic hat on. Look at the shows that I host. Okay, so I have an open mind, but I was there to explain it away. At least not verbally, but in my own, so I could just clear this out in my own mind, what everybody is seeing. And so that's where I was mentally stepping in. And I think that, back to your point and back to Howard's point, I was there for 10 seconds. And when I tilted my head up and I saw that planet disappear, right? Oh, man, I sound so strange saying it like that. But that's what happened. And maybe that was them just, pushing me off the cliff right out of the gate. Okay, this is what you're up against, church. Okay, check this out. And boom, a planet just moves and disappears. That was without night vision, by the way. That was pretty dang crazy. I'm still in a daze, to be honest with you. I'm still in a daze that I'm even talking like this. So
I think you're going to have more and more experience like this after this one, Jimmy.
Well, I'm definitely we are definitely in the market for some night vision equipment. That's for sure. Howard, I don't know if you heard from the show last night or the night before, but when I was sitting there with Dolan and Barra, these are my two friends, right? And we're close, and we all respect each other, right? But Dolan said to me, "Wow, that sounds extraordinary. I'm jealous." Well, a half hour later, Richard's out there with the night vision going through what I went through. And it was pretty trippy to hear his reactions, too, because he's a very pragmatic guy, very pragmatic. And he knows what he's looking at. He's a very educated guy. And he was having the same struggles that I was having. When you're looking at this through night vision and you're watching this stuff go down, and it's a pretty moving thing. And it's now where I spoke to Richard earlier today, and I didn't ask him for the follow-up, dude, how you doing today? I didn't do that. I will get around to it. Maybe get him on the show tomorrow night and talk to him about this, because it was pretty trippy. It was very, very trippy. Maybe it was a little show, like you're saying, Howard, just to let me know that there's bigger things to come.
And the work that you do, Jimmy, it's just inevitable that your consciousness is going to raise, because you're asking the questions that, even though it might be coming from an egocentric, right brain, technical, logical, linear standpoint, you need to know what's going on. Your heart is saying, look, you're opening to seeing what is beyond, and you're ready to take it in. Yeah, and that's a really good point. And another thing to address this, we had Clyde Lewis on the show on Friday night, and Clyde said something really interesting to me, because I kind of went through this too. But and then I'm going to have to let you go, Howard. I'm going to get to some other calls. But Clyde said, I came into this to debunk. My radio show was to go out there and start to debunk things. And that's not where I'm at today. And that's exactly what I went through. Howard, thank you for the phone call. Brilliant phone call. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jimmy.
Have a good night. Have a good night. Hi, you're live
Good
on.
night.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black.
Hello.
Hello, you're live right now. Who's calling?
This is Gabriel.
Hey, Gabriel, how are you, man?
Jimmy.
Say hi to Holly, your new friend.
Hi, Holly.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good, very good. I was just looking at the snow this afternoon. We still have in the mountains. I'm thinking about you.
Oh, that's right.
I wish I was there.
Yeah. You're in Colorado. How was your weekend, Gabriel?
It was. I mean, I want to say epic, but I mean, I want to find a better word, man. But I don't think there's really a good word that I can think of other than like out of this world almost. I mean,
yeah, it was pretty stunning all weekend long. I mean, all of the elements were in play for sure, for everybody that attended Contact in the Desert. But Gabriel, I know you want to ask Holly a question, but before you do that, sitting with Holly like you did for the last 3-4 days, and hanging out, she's pretty grounded, isn't she?
I mean, ultimately, like she's one of those people that me as a person that needs grounding, like I immediately gravitate towards her, because I know that she's going to have that intuitive guidance of grounding that just pulls people like me straight to the earth, makes me want to take my shoes off and put my feet in the dirt.
Yeah, right.
Because, she just kind of exudes that helpful spirit, like that I aspire to, that I want to be that healing kind of person. And, it's one of those things where when you meet her in person, you're just, you're like a floodgate. You're just like, what? I want to tell you everything. Just sit here and listen to my whole life, please.
And
there's 5 other people in line.
Yeah, right. And you know what's funny? Her husband Mark might even be cooler. That's.
Well, what's weird, Jimmy,
I said it, Holly. I said it out loud. Yeah, I want to share with everybody, because I know Mark is listening right now. So Mark and I started to get into some touchy conversations Sunday night. And so he was hitting me. So what do you think about this? Well, I'm not fully there. And we went back and forth, and Mark stood his ground. I'm going to say this right now. I pushed it. I just wanted to see if I could crack Mark, and I couldn't. And Mark's listening right now. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. And we had a really, really good conversation. I tried to crack Mark, and I couldn't do it, man. That guy's a pit bull. All right, what's your question for Holly? What's your question for Holly, Gabriel?
My question for Holly is definitely about past life regression, and I mean it kind of just touches on kind of more like not necessarily a question, but kind of a thought that she kind of dive into, is that like I personally have felt for the better part of about 6 to 8 months that I could really benefit from some past life regression, you know, to just figure out the things that are kind of blocking me from continuing the path that I'm trying to go on, you know, being the healer that I feel I am. And it's one of those things where does Holly think that past life regression can ultimately open up a healer's powers and kind of push a person like me to that point where I can actually realize the strength that I have and fully use it instead of just kind of stumbling upon it accidentally when it's somebody that I really care about and love a lot, and I'll just give that healing light to them because I really want to. And I mean, will doing past life regressions help to open that up for a person like me and others like me?
So a lot of people who feel like they have this potential to heal and they're blocked from it, a lot of them have been persecuted in a past life. They've been burned, killed, silenced, you know, whatever it was, the witch hunt. So a lot of times when you're coming up against that block, it is because you are persecuted in a past life for your healing powers. But don't be stuck on the past life, because a lot of times when people get in for a session, they think it's one thing and it turns out to be something completely different. But I have had a lot of people come up with that persecution past life, and then once they're able to clear that, and it's a little bit of a process, but it's pretty rapid if you allow it to be. Once it's cleared, those energies can really come to fruition and begin to flow and come more easily to you.
That's awesome. Because one of the things I've always wondered is, because I went to school for psychology and got degrees in that, I wonder if that kind of disrupted my intuitive thought path by being put into that, you know, rigorous sort of, you know, mental health, you will take pills, that's all we do for people is just give them big pharma. And
you know what, Gabriel, I'm going to jump in. I want Holly's answer on this, but I think you can answer that question yourself.
Right.
I know.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, I understand the question, but I think you know the answer.
If you believe, it's affecting you. If you believe, it's all about your belief. If you think the psychology and the forcing of learning to shove pills down people's throat, if you think that's obstructing you, then it is.
But it's one of those things where it's like, how do I break that in myself? Because when I feel like I don't want it, I don't like it, I want it to go away, but it's something that, like, it's almost like hardwired now.
Right. And you can totally unhardwire it, because it affected one of your chakra points, one of your energy centers, and it needs to be cleared. It's hardwired in your brain, and you need to create a new thought process from that.
And change it.
Yeah, there you go.
Start a whole new neuron path.
You know.
Beautiful.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, Gabriel.
And just call me offline and we'll talk. I'll do some quick pendulum work and we'll just kind of figure it out. But just, call me offline and we'll talk.
There you go,
Okay,
Gabriel.
definitely. I will, Holly. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the phone call, Gabriel.
Absolutely.
And give my best to Cherie, and I'm glad you guys made it nice and safe back to Colorado.
Thank you, Jimmy. It was an awesome pleasure meeting everybody and all the Fadernauts. It was epic. I can't wait till next year.
It was great to see you smile for 4 or 5 days. You never stopped. Thank you, Gabriel.
My face hurt, I swear.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Give my best to Cherie.
Thank you. I will. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Holly. Have a good night, you guys.
Good night, Gabe.
Thanks, Gabe. And Holly, can I get you to hang on after this next break? I have a couple of other questions for you that we didn't get to tonight. You got some time?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, there's a couple of questions here in Twitter that I want you to think about during the break. Danae says, she says, do you work with guides, and do you read the crystals in combinations similar to tarot cards? So before you answer that, that's one of the questions I wanted to address after the break. And we didn't get into crystal skulls, and I want specifically to address those. And it's something that we don't get enough time to talk about often on Fade to Black, and I want to get some of that out of the way. You ready to do that?
With 5 minutes left, you want to talk about crystal skulls?
No, Holly, we're taking a break. You stay right there, okay? This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, the one and only Holly Cook. And her website is hollymcook.com. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Holly right after this short break. Stay right there.
To my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds, and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got. Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest, who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923, and like them on Facebook, and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to JimmyChurchRadio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Holly Cook. Tomorrow night, Fader night, open lines all night long. John Rappaport's going to be here. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Saturday nighttime over at Coast to Coast with Melinda Leslie and David Sereda. That's going to complete our week here. Man, we have not stopped. Okay, Holly, looks like we're going to go to the end of the show tonight because I also got another question here that's going to take up some time too. So let's start with Danae's, which is, do you work with guides and do you read crystals in combinations?
I'm not quite sure what she means by reading crystals in combination.
Okay, she sent a picture, okay? And the picture is a bunch of crystals on a table in a row, a bunch of different types.
Different crystals?
Yes. And it looks like, they're on a table that, like your table that you lay on.
Okay. So I'm wondering if that's divination, but let me just go with that. So is how I use crystals very secondary in my healing unless I'm doing a grid. If I'm doing a specific generating grid that I'm going to put somebody's picture on or a prayer, I do it according to whatever the outcome is. If we want to pray for healing, I'll do rose quartz and amethyst or whatever it is, right? So that's how I do my grids. But when I'm using the crystals in my healing, it just comes very intuitive to me. Sometimes I'll place them on the person. Sometimes I'll put little grids around their head or the bottom of their feet, or I'll have them hold crystals. But it's very intuitive. It's not, there's no standard practice for me. Sometimes I don't use them at all.
Interesting.
So I hope that answers that part.
Yeah, and she was probably also referring to because I have seen crystals placed all over somebody's body, right? All over from their neck, top of the head, all the way down their back, butt, all the way. I've seen that. Do you do anything like that?
Sometimes like I have a gentleman who's a really heavy smoker, and I'll take the quartz crystal and I'll run it counterclockwise over his back. It's a large crystal, and he reports that he can breathe a little bit easier after. So, everything is so random when it comes into a session. But for me personally, I set up a little grid out. For the show, I put up a little grid and I have my crystal skull out and my mesa and, there's something to them. Or sometimes, I'll put amethyst on points of pain for people to kind of soak up the pain. And it just all depends. I'll do stuff around the bottom of the feet for grounding. And sometimes I use tuning forks. It just, whatever is being called. And as far as the guide part, I do have specific guides that I work with personally. Sometimes I bring them into the healing, or sometimes I just all the time I connect with source, because I never want to give a healing that's filtered by something in my mind.
Interesting.
It's coming straight from source. I have a lot of people come to me who have had negative results from psychics, and not that psychics are bad, just specific psychics or healers that maybe are going through a rough time. Right. And that energy's been projected onto the client, and then they have to come to me, which really sucks because they have to, it's costly, and then they have to get that undone. So I really just try to channel straight from source, so I am completely out of the healing that you're receiving.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Holly.
Yeah, hi, Jimmy. This is Danae.
Hey, Danae.
Hi. Thank you for the answers on the questions there. And Holly, it sounds like you and I are doing the same things. Just totally a little bit different on the table grid, and it's not even really a grid. Do the crystals, what I'm really curious about is, do you see a mirage come off the crystals so you know which ones to actually go to? You see, and because I started getting mirages off the crystals here about 15 years ago, and I took them as signatures, and they started wanting on to certain places on the table. And then through that particular energy, I'm able to actually help people in a session to be able to guide them through saying what is going on in those areas of their body. I don't necessarily use the crystals during the sessions.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just something that came to me, and I was guided to it. So I was very curious on that level as to what I still don't know.
Right.
I just know that I do.
Right.
I broke my neck once, and then I broke it again, and they left me with 10 degrees of movement left and right. And then on the back side of that, being allergic to painkillers, I learned meditation techniques to get away from the pain. And then all of a sudden, boom, all of this started opening up, and it's what I do. It's not what I like to admit, but it is what I do.
Holly?
Okay, I'm really glad that you clarified that, because I thank you so much for actually verbalizing that. No, I do not do that, and I do not see what you see, and I think what you have is really, really special. I've never heard of anyone having that.
I totally visualized
I'm still looking for them, too.
All right.
Okay. Holly, Jimmy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Danae, and thank you for... I totally visualized. Thank you so much, Danae.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
You too. That does sound like a gift.
I mean, to see the image come out of the crystal before, that's amazing. I want a session. That's amazing.
Yeah, me too, right? Okay, now what about moving chakras altogether? How's that done?
Clearing them out?
Yes.
It's so the word chakra actually goes back to the Vedics, which is, the very ancient language that we all spoke. And they're just energy centers in your body. They correspond to the organs around that energy center. And I'll tell you, I thought it was all BS when I first started learning about this. But it's what I do is I test them out with a pendulum. But who cares, right? I mean, that doesn't prove anything. Is what's really, really interesting is when somebody has a physical ailment, if you start listening to their emotional story, it corresponds exactly where the physical chakra is to their physical ailment and the emotion behind the chakra. I mean, it's like it never fails.
Right.
And so so when I clear that, you're using breath work. You're actually using breath work, and that's when I get into the really ancient ways, the modalities that the real shamans used. And so I actually use a rattle to clear it, and it's a loud rattle. And I'm burning sage, and I'm unwinding the energy with a rattle. And you know what? It's amazing. And then once it's cleared, the pendulum will actually swing clockwise again.
Isn't it strange how the not only the Vedic text, but past civilizations and even lost civilizations, but the mythology and the legend and the folklore of all of this has been handed down, and there is something to it. But today, modern medicine doesn't want to touch it. And wouldn't it be funny if we could actually go to our HMO and go, you know what, man, I got to get some chakras cleared. Can you guys send me to isn't it funny how the denial is there when it's actually right in front of us? That we were in tune with our bodies 2,000, 3,000 years ago and before modern medicine. And we knew about these things. Today, no, modern medicine does not even want to talk about this.
You know what? I so wish I could say that was funny, but that is one of my trigger points. I've had so many women, men and women, I don't know why I keep referring to women, so many people come to me who are strung out on pharmaceuticals, and it's destroyed their family. I had one woman come in. she ran off the road because she was on too much medication.
Right.
And then my stepfather has COPD. He almost died because he was over-medicated. And I actually I refuse to have medical insurance. I will not have it. And we won't even touch the vaccine subject, but I am so anti-pharmaceutical. It's crazy.
Hey, there is, I've said it many times. There's a reason to go to the doctor, right? You break your arm, okay?
Yes.
Then you got to go. That's one thing, and I understand that. But not everything else, but most everything else is an attempt to treat a symptom, and then the symptoms that you get for treating that, because they're not curing anything, and is another pill, and is another pill for that, and then you have to take something else, and then the next thing you know, it freaks me out to go over to somebody's house and see 30, 40 pills, prescriptions laying. I'm like, what are you doing? I don't do that. Painkillers are one thing. You're in pain. I get that. You've broken your arm. You've got something wrong, or a leg, or, but, and I understand that. But everything else, it's nuts, the big pharma. It's crazy to me. Crazy.
Can I say two really quick things about that?
Yes, you may.
Yes, we and I totally fall victim to this all the time. We have to separate doctors from big pharma. Like, I broke my ankle 2 years ago, and the doctors were amazing. I took no pain medication. Like, I did it all natural, but I had a cast and real x-rays and real doctors. They were amazing. So we including myself, we have to separate big pharma from doctors. But this little girl came in to me, and I'm going to try to say it without crying. She had been molested, and going back to the chakras, all of that unexpressed sexual energy created HPV, the human papillomavirus, the warts in her throat.
Right.
And she kept having to have all of these surgeries from Stanford, and she totally shut down. She came in, the first session, she started doing her homework immediately. The second session, she started talking again and making facial expressions. The third session, I couldn't do anything. I called her mom and said, come get her. We're just going to play a game. Like, she's completely clear.
Right.
And when she came back, her mom said that Stanford had canceled her throat surgery.
Amazing. Hey, hold on really quick. I got to bring in this call. It's from Australia. Mark, say hi to Holly.
Hi, Holly. How you going?
Oh, man, Mark, you're distorting. Okay, try that again.
Sorry, brother.
Okay.
Hey, Holly. G'day. How you going?
Hi. Excellent.
Is it better now?
Yeah, back off that mic, brother. Okay.
Okay, I'm trying to.
Yeah, it's okay. What's your question, Mark? And it's good to hear your voice. I'll let you out of the corner long enough to say hi to Holly and ask a question, but then it's back to the corner. You got a week.
All right, mate. No worries. My question to Holly is, I've been listening to the show, and you've been talking about people that obviously have, how can I say, accept issues, and you obviously help them out. I don't sort of really have any issues, you know what I mean? I was just wondering, is that normal, or?
That's
Do
the
you
best.
have no issues?
Yeah, that's the best question
No.
of the night. Is
Like-
no issues normal?
Yeah, like, I don't really feel like I need to be healed. I don't have any real illnesses or suffer from, or not that I know of, so is that normal?
No, I think, no, it's not normal. And
Oh.
I am in the same boat with you. I feel pretty healthy mentally, emotionally, and physically. And no, it's not normal. And you should be really honored and grateful for where you're at, because that's where we all want to be.
Okay, fair enough.
Now, Mark.
Nothing's wrong with you.
Now, Mark, are you afraid of finding out that something's wrong?
Right?
No, mate, I'm just a bit of a crazy Australian, that's about it, really.
Yeah, right. Well, what if you did, Mark, would you do regression and do a past life regression? Would you be open to that?
I'd give it a go, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So it's always interesting to find out what I did and, whatever.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah,
got your head chopped off.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
who knows? Might have got it stretched a few times too. Who knows?
Right. All right, Mark, that was a great call. Right. So therefore, you can come out of the corner.
Great. Thanks, Jimmy.
You can come back, Mark. Thank you, brother.
All right. Thanks, Holly. Thanks for taking my call, Jimmy.
You got it, Mark. The fader knots are brilliant, aren't they?
Oh my gosh, I love them.
Let's talk about crystal skulls for a second. What was your first experience? We've got 7 minutes, so let's try to pack this in really quick. What was your first experience with a crystal skull, and which one?
Oh boy, it was the Dolphin Clan. It was Madre of the Dolphin Clan. She's 11-pound crystal skull. Now, there's a lot of rumors. I'm going to go quick. There's a lot of rumors that there's 13 crystal skulls.
That's right.
Around the planet. Yeah, it's not true. There is supposed to be 13 clans of 13 crystal skulls. So 13 separate clans of 13. That's what I've learned. And the Dolphin Clan is the only clan in existence that we know of on the planet that is together. All of the other ones have been destroyed or hidden. And so my very first experience was with Madre, and I was in this whole research group where we actually had to channel and write down questions, and the data was collected, and it was very profound.
Right. And did it take you, because we've all heard the rumors about crystal skulls. I've had a couple of guests on that have some of the, I've had, of the original 13. So you have, I just don't want to use the words urban legend.
Just use it.
But that's what it's about, right? So
right.
when you got together for the first time with a group of crystal skulls, and apparently this was with the Dolphin Clan, what happened? I mean, was it one of those experiences like me at Contact in the Desert this weekend where you just went, holy crap, okay, I need to step back. I need to analyze this because something is really going on here?
No, actually it wasn't, and I wasn't very impressed the first time I came in contact with a crystal skull. I didn't have a very amazing experience, and everybody else did except me, right? Is when it really started getting good and juicy is when we were actually able to take some of these skulls home from the Dolphin Clan with this sheet of questions and do our own channeling. And that's when it got good, because I was still being skeptical, and they would correct you and give you information that you don't know. And then I would get this information, and then I would read it later in a book.
Such as? Give me an example. What was one of the questions?
I don't specifically remember the questions, but I have them. But I remember one specific thing. It was a question about history, and the skull that I was channeling, I was adamant, I was positive it was showing me the Christian Crusades. And it started yelling at me. It's like, no, that's not right. And I'm like, oh, what do I do, right? And I kept trying to come up with all these points in history, and it was obvious genocide, right? And finally, I'm like, the Ottoman Empire, like the Armenian genocide. And yes, that was it. So that, I don't remember the exact question, but that was the answer I was trying to get to. So that was one. And then there was some questions about the DNA that I had later read about the telomeres in a real science article, and the skull was giving me that information before I read the article.
And so this is through channel. I mean, could you hear? Was it loud and clear? Direct? Was there any misinterpreting what was coming to you? I mean, could you have done it without the skull?
I don't think so, no. And when you do misinterpret it, they yell at you. I mean, like anybody who's really been around the skulls, they're like, yeah, they're chatty and they yell at you. They're like, no, you're not right. I mean, it's weird and it sounds crazy, but and I didn't believe it. No, it does. It sounds totally crazy because I'm not like this huge, whatever. And yes, they talk to you, and yes, you get this real information. And it blows you away. They'll give you images. They'll give you all sorts of information. But it is what got me is when we were in this group. So we do it in a group, and then we'd also do the channeling separately at home. And when we were in the group, I would have this thought of what came to me, and it never failed. Everybody else in the group, because I wouldn't want to say it first, they would come up and they would see something very, very, very similar to what I had witnessed.
Yeah, I want to have one of those sessions with the crystal skulls. I want to sit down and do this. I have two here in the studio, but yeah, I would like to do that and see what's up with that. Holly, I had so much fun tonight. How you doing? Are you good?
I had a blast. Thank you so much. I had so much fun.
Thank you, Holly. And everybody, all of Holly's websites are over at jimmychurchradio.com. You can go and click. There's sacredheartascension.com, hollymcook.com, and, of course, feminegoddessretreat.com. Now, before I let you go, what are you doing up at Shasta?
It's Shasta with Corey Good.
No, you with I thought that was with Laura.
No, that's in Mariposa with Lori McDonald, who's amazing, and Laura Eisenhower, who's amazing. So we're putting on a retreat, a women's retreat, the 29th through the 31st of July. It's going to be a very intimate, boutique-y retreat. We're going to feed and put everybody up and do these amazing breakthrough workshops so we can really get in alignment and step into our power. So, I mean, to have the three of us together, it's going to be amazing.
No guys allowed.
No guys allowed.
There you go. Holly, you're the best. Give my best to Mark, and I had so much fun tonight, and we got to do this again very soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Jimmy. It was so much fun. I'm so thankful for you and Rita.
Thank you. And also, we can't. Everybody, you need to go up to our conference that we're going to be doing up in Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Yeah, we can't let this get away from us. The Awareness Life Expo at the Crowne Plaza Hotel, and that is August 13th and the 14th. Thank you so much, Holly.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Have a great rest of your night.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Holly Cook, everybody. Wow, what a great conversation. And that's how we do this show right there. And I'm going to get a couple of things in really quick because some pretty nutty stuff is going on out there right now. And number one, hackers are targeting the international financial system right now, and they've claimed a fourth victim, the Bank of the Philippines. But check this out. Turns out it's North Korea. The group Lazarus. In the last 4 cases, computer hackers have been able to gain a dangerous level of access to SWIFT, the worldwide interbank communication network that settles transactions. In early February, hackers broke into the Bangladesh's central bank and stole $101 million. Their methods appeared to have been deployed in similar heists. Last year, there were three other heists targeting commercial banks in Ecuador and Vietnam, and now they've just hit the Philippines. And I guess they're getting desperate over there in North Korea. Now, check this out. The Georgia teen driver that was accused of causing a high-speed car crash because she was allegedly using Snapchat to record her speed while she was driving has been charged with a felony and is now currently incarcerated. The collision caused the driver of another car to suffer brain injuries. Now, Clayton County law enforcement officials issued 4 warrants for Crystal McGee on Wednesday, this morning. The sheriff's office said that she turned herself in. Oh, it was yesterday morning. She turned herself in tonight. The charges include causing serious injury by vehicle, which is a felony. She was also charged with 3 misdemeanors, driving too fast for condition, reckless driving, and speeding 35 miles an hour over the speed limit. Snapchat. Now, the big news of the year, sort of. Pizza Hut says it is removing food additives, BHA and BHT, from all meats by the end of July, eliminating use of preservatives in cheese by the end of March 2017. Human antibiotics will be removed from chicken used for its pizza by the end of March 2017, and stripping additional additives and preservatives by 2020. But I just got to say, why can't they get all of that done now? Man, I got to get out of here, but I got to do this last report. Listen to this. Latin America's biggest airline, LATAM, announced on Monday it will suspend all flights to Venezuela for an indefinite period of time. They cited the complex economic situation going down in Venezuela. The statement followed a similar move by Lufthansa. Yeah. Venezuela, man. And they don't have toilet paper either. I'm not making fun of this. That's a bad, bad country to be in right now. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thank you, Holly Cook. Great conversation tonight, but I expected that. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. The show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster, Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA The Planet. Thank you to Holly Cook. Tomorrow night, open lines. John Rappaport will be here. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2016 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Everybody be safe. Go Beckley Tepe.